Hey, what's going on, everybody? Today, Bitcoin got a nice bounce. It looks like that triangle totally worked out. So we'll talk about it. And Theta here is also bouncing off the bull market support band, which is really good. Historically, it's been the best place to buy. So even going back over here, right, it's been the best place to buy in a bull market, right, in an uptrend. Now, when you're in a bear market, it becomes a good place to short. So you can see rejection, 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 right? So you don't really want to buy it there. You want to wait until it gets above with a vengeance, right? It broke out with a vengeance. It took out this high, and then it came down to back test the bull market support band. Now that's when, that's a good buy there. And you can go back and watch the videos. We were talking about, back over here, back over here. This was a very good chance to dollar cost average theta. So what is theta doing now? Well, it is, in my opinion, developing a base right on the bull market support band after an ABC correction. You can see the base here, right? We had A, B, C, base, go. Same thing here. A, B, C, and here's your base. We're waiting for the go, right? So when is it going to go? Well, that's always the question, right? I mean, it looks primed. It looks like it has sufficient enough time, right? I mean, it's got a nice base proportional to the ABC, also proportional to this wave here, right? You can see this is a smaller wave, smaller base, right? This is a bigger bigger wave, bigger base. So, people have had plenty of opportunities to buy, all in here, the bull market support band, all in here, and just, yesterday and the day before that. I actually tweeted out, I dollar cost average the bull market support band because it's pretty rare. Well, I wouldn't say rare, but it's really the time to seize the opportunity if you get it. And right now we're right there. We're right on, we're testing the bull market support band right now. So I would say anywhere between $2 and $2 and say 10 cents would be a good area. I mean, right now we're at $2.12. So we're getting a little bit of a rejection here. We had a nice pump early this morning, but it went up pretty fast. That was a pretty big 4-hour candle here. So I'm not sure, what's going on there, but to me, it's more than likely just consolidating above the bull market support band. So let's zoom in here. Let's go to the 30-minute chart and see if we can see anything here. So let me just extend these lines out a little bit. There we go. Yeah, we have a really weird sort of shape in here. Well, first of all, I'm looking at this as a potential 5-wave move. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we have an A. We come up for B. And then it looks like we have a 1, 2. This could be all of this is 3. This is 4. And we could get one more wave to the downside for wave 5. Maybe not that deep. Maybe about right there. So, that's kind of what I'm thinking at the moment. But, I mean, it could be finished now. So it's kind of a wait and see situation. But let's jump into Bitcoin and we're gonna work our way back to theta. But look at this here, and this might make sense of why we would get that 5th wave to the downside if Bitcoin, right? First of all, we had a triangle here, A, B, C, right? Then we had D and then E. This could have been A, B, C, D, and E here. Or, I'm sorry, A, B, C, D, and E. but we broke this here, so I don't like that. So A, B, all of this is C. From here, this is D, and this is E. So it's a little tricky, but nonetheless, we got the breakout here of this downward resistance line. Now, we're not out of the woods yet because we still need to break the top, right? I mean, that's going to be the big test if we can break that top. So far, so good. We'll see how that plays out. But for me, you know, we could get, I mean, obviously we're getting a pullback now, but we could get a lower pullback to back test maybe 69K. You can see how much resistance in here, right? Resistance here, and then even here, we broke it. Maybe we come down and we retest it. You can see we tested it when we broke right here. So we'll see. Right now, it looks like we're getting sort of this ABC correction here. So maybe this might be a good chance to buy the dip if it can get, let's see. Yeah, I would look for maybe 69,817 for a bounce here, or I mean, obviously it could be done now, right? But let me jump into what I really want to talk about. So first of all, we've been in this correction since March, and you know, the idea has been some type of three-wave move to the downside. We back test the bull market support band, right? So now we have a 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and now we're in wave 4, soon to get wave 5. So that's what we want to see. We want to see this wave 5 come in. Now, the question is wave 5 starting now? Right? We just, you know, have that triangle potentially, right? So if that's the case, then yeah, we should see the triangle, or I'm sorry, the wave 5 start to really initiate. We don't really know until we break this zone in here, right? Right now we're butting up against it, so maybe a little bit of a pullback back to this line in here, right? You can see this doji right here. This is the 4-hour candle, and we have less than 15 minutes on this candle, and it doesn't look so good, right? It looks like it needs a pullback, but or just simply some consolidation in here. It went up rather quick. I mean, that was a pretty big 4-hour candle here. I mean, look at this. We started at 68,000. So that was about a $1,700 candle right there. So, you know, we'll see. We'll see how that plays. But I am looking at more upside. At the end of the day, you know, that move that we just had yesterday and today kind of gave me more conviction that the bullish count is upon us. So, yeah, you know, again, we have to clear this zone in order to say that this is a fifth wave. So if it's a fifth wave, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then in wave 5, we want to see 5 waves. So let's see if we can identify the first wave of that 5-wave move. So it looks like we have it here, potentially, right? It looks like we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's wave, potentially, wave 1, right, of either 3 or wave 5. So what I mean by that is this could have been wave 1, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's wave 1. This is wave 2, and now we're starting wave 3. So this is 1, 2. Let's pull back. 3, 4, 5. So that whole thing would be wave 3. Maybe not that big. I don't think it would be that big. Something like that. So this would be 1, this would be 2, all of this would be 3, then we get 4, then we get 5. And then the whole thing becomes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? On the, because you have waves, and then in those waves you have subwaves, and in those subwaves you also have subwaves. So, you got to be able to dissect all of those, and it could be very, very tricky. Yeah, I was looking at this as a triangle, and fourth waves, triangles usually appear in a fourth wave. So yeah, I'm expecting more upside here on the larger time frames. Now that doesn't mean we can't pull back today, tomorrow, and even this whole week. But all in all, we want to see more upside coming in shortly. So let's take a look even closer to the 1 hour chart. Yeah, yesterday we were, I think, over here somewhere, and we got this little correction. We had this, this triple bottom come in, and then bam, we actually, it almost looks like a little fractal. So this little move right here reminds me of this massive, or this bigger move right here. You can see we have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and it has this little funny shape in here, right, where you come down and you hit the low, right? Same thing here. You come down, you hit the low, and then you can see here we come up and then take out the low. Same thing here. We come up and we take out the low, and then we went sideways in here, and then we shot up. Same thing here. We went sideways here and shot up. However, this move that shot up took out this high. So you would think that this whole move right here would take out this high. So that's what I would like to see. So let's, that would be the main idea, is a little bit of a pullback. Let's actually zoom in even more, so maybe we might be able to gauge it here. So it already looks potentially finished. I don't really like it as, this is a one, I don't really like this as wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, wave 5. And then we get an ABC pullback and then continue higher. Yeah, I guess that would be the case, but I don't like this shape in here. That's because that's part of the triangle, right? So we're sort of waiting for that impulse, and I would imagine that it started here, because I can see 5 waves here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We had an A, a complex B, or actually it'll be a WXY, a 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. It looks like we need one more hit to the high. I would like to see another hit to the high before that ABC takes shape. And it actually looks pretty good. It looks like an expanded flat to me here, but we need to find some support coming in here. So obviously, if it's not an expanded flat, then this would be the end of wave 5. So it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And now we're coming down for A, right? And then we come up for B, and then we come down for C, and then we go. So kind of something like that, I would imagine. Now, it could be a different shape than that. There's a lot of different things can happen, right? For goodness sake, this is the 5-minute chart. It moves very fast, so it's very, much more challenging to get right than the larger time frames. So all in all, that's kind of what I'm thinking here. So now let's talk about the alternatives. So the alternative would be, well, first of all, let's keep talking about that count here, right? So if that main idea, right, we just said, plays out, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, then at that moment, we would then expect a correction, right? Because this would be the beginning. This wave here is the first wave of the fifth of the fifth of the fifth. So, so this would be the fifth wave, right? So this is wave one, right? And then we would get wave two. Now, wave two can be very big. Wave two can be, you know, depending on how it goes, it can be very sort of surprising, because you're in this uptrend, you're breaking out here, and then all of a sudden you come back down to 65K or 67K, right? It just wouldn't make sense, but that's how usually it goes. And then you would get and then that after that would be probably the biggest wave, because that would be you know, this would be 1, 2, and now we'd be going into 3. And wave 3, I would imagine, be pretty big. So something like this. That would be wave 3. And then we would get a bigger, you know, wave 4, and then continue to go up into wave 5. So that's kind of how I'm seeing it. So if we do go up and we take out this high, we're going to want to get away from it. We want this fifth wave to be as strong as possible so that we can get as far away from this high as humanly possible. So we'll see how that plays. Now, some targets here. Let's see. If we take a trend-based fib extension, I take it from the bottom of wave 2 to the top of wave 3, back down to the bottom of wave 4. I would like to see somewhere around 77K get hit. So the 1-to-1 extension would be good. We come up here, we hit the 1-to-1, right? So let me actually take everything. Actually, yeah, let me take everything off. And about 77, I'll say right about there. And then we also have the all-time high right there and here. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. Now, if we get that 5-wave move, people are going to be piling in, right? They're going to be buying. They're going to be FOMOing. But the problem is we already have 5 waves, right? Well, the reason why they would FOMO, number one, is because we broke out new all-time high. You're going to have the Bitcoin headlines. You're going to have the Ethereum ETFs. You know, they're starting to trade. Look at this. By the way, does anybody know when the Ethereum ETFs go live? I'm not sure. But some kind of news event that would get everybody excited up here around 78, 77K. Okay? So that 77, 78K, people are saying, okay, Bitcoin just broke out into a new all-time high. I'm very bullish, so I'm going to buy. The problem with that is you just had 5 waves, right? We've been going up since May 1st. And we're sitting here, you know, already in June, about to be mid-June, right? So, you know, a month and a half, right? If we do get up here, by the time we do, it would probably already be mid-June. So we've been literally going up in this wave, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, for already a month and a half. And now people decide, okay, now I'm finally going to buy. Because we finally got through the retracement levels. We finally broke above the all-time high. So now here's my chance to buy. But that's actually the wrong approach. Now, here's what I would say about that. This is not financial advice, by the way. Nothing I say is. This is how I would kind of play that here. First of all, there's nothing wrong with buying and holding Bitcoin ever. There's nothing wrong with buying crypto or holding with the intention of holding for a while. There is something wrong with, you know, FOMOing. Now, for me, how I would play this is you don't know if For example, you don't know if the ABC is going to be something big like this, where it retraces. Let's see here. If I pull the retracement up from here all the way up to that target, the 618, or I would say between 64,675 and 67.1 would be the wave 2 pullback. So somewhere right there, right? You don't know if that wave 2 is going to be something like that, right? And then we go to the big moon, right? So, you know, that's kind of how I would think it would go down. Now, if it wants, now in a perfect world, what would be nice to see, and this would be a good area to buy, right? Not, you know, according to this situation, if it would happen, is if we get 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 up to that 77, 78. And then here's the best part. If we can do something like this where we back test, we have a small ABC, right? Something like this, some kind of smaller ABC where we back test these highs, and then we start ripping to the upside. So then in that case, I would look at this as 1, 2, all of this would be 3, this would be 4, and that would be 5. And then we get the ABC, and then go to the moon, something like that. So the ABC from that first wave is coming from a much higher point, right? Because the last thing we want to do is, you know, go below, you know, 65, 66, 67K. We don't, you know, we want to stay above 70 ideally, but on a pullback, right, on a bullish pullback, you know, taking anything you can get under 67K is a steal in my book. So this is all contingent on us getting this wave up here and, you know, having it 5 waves and things like that, because it could still turn into some kind of flat pattern, right, where you have an A, B that takes out the top, and then you come down for C, like a running flat, right? Something like that, but you know, to kill time, essentially. So those are the two sort of ideas that are lining up with that first idea. So now we can talk about alternatives. So an alternative could be obviously more of a bearish idea, right? So this actually could be part of a B wave here. So this is A right here. This is A. And this is a complex B, something like this, some kind of flat. And then we come down for wave C, and then we go to the upside like this. And then what that would be is the same exact thing, except an alternation of wave 4. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then it would actually, I would imagine, get the 5th, you know, this wave here higher than the breakout, and then I think higher than that previous idea. And then you get the ABC, which sort of lines up with this, you know, this box in here. So if you take this, you know, right about there, I think that little zone here between, you know, 67 and 70K is that critical area, right? So this would be, you know, everything I just said was like idea number 1. There's a little bit of different things about idea number 1, like you could say idea 1.1 or 1.2, right? This is idea 2. So both of them are very bullish. Just the difference is one of them is wave 4 is finished, now we're going into wave 5, and the other one is saying no, this is only a B wave trap, we still got to go down, take out the low, and then we can go up, right? Because they're never going to make it easy. This is much more complex. This is much more difficult. This is much more trappy. So if I had to guess, this, coming back down to 64K would not surprise me at all. It would not surprise me at all. It would get everybody very bearish, especially because they feel like, oh, look at Bitcoin's above 70K. The altcoins are bouncing a little bit. It feels good. But then, bam, you get slammed right down to 64K. 65, 64, 65. So people would not, it would kind of ruin the sentiment and feel like, okay, it's over with, right? We're going down, because at that point, people would think we have some kind of diagonal, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is a 3-wave pullback, and this is a 1, 2, and now we're about to die, right? We're about to go down. So that's what I would think people would imagine. But in reality, this is just some kind of, instead of it being a triangle, it's some kind of complex B wave where we have A, this whole thing is B, right? Which means this is an A, this is a B, this is a C. So A, B, C. And in wave C, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the B wave is done. So now we're starting to move down. So this would be, again, idea number 2. And then we go up for wave 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So yeah, again, we're not out of the woods yet. We're still in this zone here that can go either way. I feel a little bit more confident that, we're ultimately going to go up. I'm just not so sure if it's ready right now. What would I personally like to see, right? I understand that, we just had a doji print here and we're starting to pull back now. What I would like to see happen here is, I'll put a line right there, I would like to see it back test and basically just consolidate in here. So, this is what I would like to see. Something like this, consolidate in here, and then continue our ascent to the upside, right? And what that would do is, instead of coming back down here in that flat, or A, B, C, we would be ready for our 5th wave, right? So, yeah, that's basically it for Bitcoin. Once we get this 5th wave, continue higher. So it's still, we're, like I've been saying, we're at this inflection point. Beware of traps, beware of certain things happening. So, but yeah, that's about it for Bitcoin. Let's zoom out a little bit and see anything on the higher time frames here. So, when I look at the weekly chart, it still looks very, very bullish. I mean, look at this bullish hammer candle. We have the base here. We have the bullish engulfing candle. We have this sideways consolidation in the retracement levels. That is, bullish, right? We have currently a weekly bullish candle, right? So, everything's looking primed for a breakout. Now, the way I've drawn it, things could happen very fast, or it could be very slow. So, we'll just have to keep an eye on it here. So, but yeah, I think that's about it. Let's see, anything on the 2-week chart we can take a look at? I mean, even the 2-week chart looks very good. So the 2-week chart is going to end in about 12 days. We want it to close above 69,000, say 400. And that would be considered a 2-week breakout. So let's look for that. So let's jump into the altcoins now. Let's go back to Theta. So let's talk about those 2 ideas. And let's translate that to Theta. Right? Obviously, real quick with Bitcoin, you know, there's more than two ideas, but we're just going to stick with those ideas now, considering where Bitcoin is at. But obviously, another idea would be just basically coming back down to the bull market support band before continuing higher. But it wouldn't really make sense because we would only have 3 waves. So if it's going to do that, you kind of want a 5th wave, then hit the bull market support band, then go. So, you know, that's why I'm kind of angled to another move to the upside. The only thing is, I'm not sure if this is a triangle or if this is a wave B. Again, if it's a triangle A, B, C, D, E, then yes, we can go. If it's a wave A and this is a B, then we need another hit to the low, then we go. Some kind of flat. Boom, 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 right? So, you know, we're right in this. That's why I said we should go sideways and consolidate here. But if we start moving down sharply, then we're going to get, you know, something like this. And if we take out this low here, that would actually be a very good buying opportunity, not financial advice. So if that were to happen, then what would happen to theta? Well, I mean, theta really doesn't have much wiggle room to play with. You know, it's right on the bull market support band. We don't really want it to fall any lower. If this is, it's either this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C. We're basically developing a base before we go. Or this is also 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're going to get 5. Right, which really wouldn't make too much sense, but you know, we'll see how that plays out. But if Bitcoin, if that triangle pattern plays out, which, you know, it's very good chance it will, then you know, this looks like it needs to come down a little bit more. You know, obviously we're gonna get a breakout. So what I would see here is maybe a 1, 2, right? And then we have another 1, 2, right? So this is 1, 2 of of wave 1, and this is 1, 2 of wave 3. So then we would get that wave 3, 4, and 5. So this would be 1, 2. All of this is 3, right? Something like that, where it gets us back to these levels in here. So let me put the retracement here, right? So the levels somewhere in here, about that $2.30 level would be the idea. And it would be, yeah, if this is 1, 2, 3, and we come back for 4, and then we come up for 5, that would be a nice 5-wave move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it would get us back into the retracement levels. And then if Bitcoin decides from there, like now Bitcoin's already at an all-time high, right? It already broken out at all-time high. It completed its 5 waves. Now it's going to get an ABC. So then it could then retrace. You know, you take this whole wave here and cut it in half, 50%. It could retrace then to about $2.19, $2.15 to $2.20, right around there. And then a continuation to the upside, right? So when you zoom out, what you have, right, and this is exactly what we talked about yesterday as far as, you know, just adding another point of confluence to that Wyckoff accumulation, right? Remember that. So this was the video I put out yesterday, basically going over targets. Now there's different targets, right? I don't know, and there's not one target, right? There's different targets. So you're gonna have to come up with your exit strategy on how you want to play that. But you know, you got time, so, you know, start thinking about it. For me, I'm gonna get more into that when the time is right. You know, so, you know, we'll get there when we get there. But right now, this video is a good starting case for targets, specifically this $27 target. once we break that all-time high. So let's take a look at this here. This is the Wyckoff pattern that we were talking about. So if you just look at the colors, you can see, right? It doesn't take an expert to know, right? You just compare this to this, and you can basically see exactly how we would imagine it to play out. But yeah, basically you want to round out in here, break this top, consolidate, and continue going. And that would totally rhyme with, you know, the Bitcoin breakout of the all-time high. So getting above that, right? So it all starts on the micro time frame. And the good thing is we had 5 waves. We had a 3-wave pullback that brought us back, you know, beyond the 618, right? And it's on the bull market support band, and it has that sort of spring look. So what we want to see is, you know, this high get taken out, but then also right now we want to start to see this bottom round out in here, something like this, where we continue moving up higher. Now, I don't know how it's going to look, but that would be, you know, somewhere along the lines of what I would expect in a Wyckoff pattern. So the first order of business is to let's just hash out this basically this base in here. So it might be small, it might be bigger, right? I mean, we might be in here all week. I don't know, but the thing is you know, we're consolidating and we're making higher lows off the bull market support band. So you got to respect that. But yeah, to me, it still looks very bullish. Now, as far as the small time frames go, let's see, the 15-minute. Yeah, I just need more information. This could be a 1-2, right? And this is another 1-2, and now we're about to hit that 3rd, 4, and 5. 1, 2, 3. So even if it's bearish, I still would expect somewhat of a bounce, right? Even if we're going to go down and we're going to crash and burn, I would still expect a little bounce in here, some type of wave 4 that hits the high before coming down and making that wave, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In which case, if that happened, then, you know, we would have to look at how it retraces back up. Does it retrace impulsively, or does it do some type of 3-way move like that? If it did this shape, I would definitely expect much more downside. But we'll get there when we get there. And then in that case, right, we would break down and we would back test that $1.50 area. And I would look at it as a 1-2-1-2 with a big bullish breakout after that. So, but I don't really want to come down here because you just have more risk attached to it. You know, it looks perfect in theory and it would work, but you know, when you get down there, you know, that means the whole market has to go down, which means the structure on a lot of other charts would get messed up, which means it just gives it a more bearish look, and you would basically have more risk for even further downside. But all of that will go away with a big Bitcoin breakout, hopefully above 80K. So just, you know, real quick, as far as an updated, I mean, not really an updated, but a target here. Here's a different target that I really like. Let's see. So instead of doing it on linear scale, I'm going to do it on log scale. And instead of regular fib, I'm going to do a trend-based fib. So I'm going to take it from the bottom. I'm going to go all the way to the top. And then I'm going to pull it all the way back down to the bottom. Or to the bottom of this wave. So I would expect somewhere in the 618. So about that $5.50 area. So somewhere right about there would be a good spot for some a pullback, right, or a correction, or even if you're trading a target area. So there we go, and that would match up. You see all this cluster, this is a cluster of candles in here, which means there's a lot of resistance and things like that. So getting up here, I was going to say volume profile, right? Because there's a lot of volume profile between these areas. So all in all, I'm expecting a move. Ever since we were down here, literally at 64 cents, I've been expecting this move. So you can see it's starting to play out. We just need one more wave to the upside. So yeah, I think theta is very, very bullish. It's, first of all, it's the one of very few coins that already broke its range, right? I mean, just look at it compared to where's Filecoin. So just look at theta versus Filecoin here, right? Or comparing the two. First of all, Filecoin did not even break its range. Its range is still there. Okay? And then also, when it pulled back, it actually pulled back beyond this wave here. And it pulled back so much that it's actually a little bit higher than it was on the bull market support band. So let me go back to theta. Look at this. Filecoin is like right here. It's the equivalent of theta being at $1.17, right? So you can see, like, take a mental screenshot of that. You can see, look at the breakout, right? We broke this complete range and we had a decent pullback and we're still above the range, right? And we back tested it on this little wick right here. So we're still, very, very bullish. And then look at this. You could see Filecoin's way down here versus theta. Theta is way up here as if it was, $16, right? $17 Filecoin. So it's got a lot of more ground to work up. So that's why I'm saying, like, and not just this one, but XRP, even Matic. So look at Matic. Here's the range with Matic, and we're still, we still haven't even broke the range with Matic, and it actually went even below its test here. So that's like theta going even below that, right? So Matic actually went below this wave here. SHIB is actually one that's bullish. We actually broke the range, right? So that's one of them. Ethereum, Litecoin is still in its range, right? So that's why I'm saying, like, a lot of them, total 3 totally smashed through the range. And that's kind of not so much the worry, but if total 3 is way up here and a lot of the altcoins are still down here, it makes me wonder if some of those altcoins are even going to get good rallies, right? That's why you want to buy strength, and that's why I'm buying theta, and that's why I believe theta is going to be a big winner. Number one, because it cleared its range. Number two, it's staying above its range, and number three, it has a nice impulse. Whereas like things like Filecoin and stuff like that, they're still pretty low. But I actually caught BCB's video today, and he did share a couple, because me, I like to share Filecoin a lot. I like the coin. I think it's going to do well overall. But when you compare it to theta, there's no comparing it, right? But he did show some cool fractals that I will show you. So this is his chart, and I just color coded it, but you can see the top chart, or the bottom chart, is Ethereum Classic. And you can see, you can pause the video and just look, compare them both, and you can see it's pretty dang bullish. All those moves are matching up pretty nicely. So you would expect a big breakout for Filecoin. But you have to understand, if Filecoin is set to do that, what do you think Theta is going to do? I mean, think about it. Here's another chart, right? Here's a Bitcoin fractal comparing it to Filecoin. Again, very, very bullish. So if Filecoin, a coin that never broke its range, a coin that's pretty weak, a coin that has high inflation, I think, well, I don't think so. I take that back. It doesn't have too much inflation compared to some of them, but this is the market cap of Filecoin when you compare it to Bitcoin. It actually is pretty bullish, but what I'm saying is, if Filecoin, a coin that didn't break its range, what do you think Theta is going to do, right? You always want to buy the strength. So, for example, if a coin, is in a bear market and then the bear market's over and then it has that first wave one to the upside, which coin had the best wave one? Which coin had the strongest wave one? Now, don't get that confused with coins like Solana. Solana ripped all the way to the upside. The problem with coins like that is that they already went too far away from you, right? So look for strength, but some of the coins, they're already approaching, their all-time high, and they already have, a good amount of waves. So you can see here's Solana's market cap. Now, it had a very powerful wave one. So, but now it's basically already too late. Yes, it can go way, 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 way higher. But it's already at a $77 billion market cap. Even if it got to like $1 trillion, that's still like only 10x. Right? And 10x is really, really good, but $1 trillion is a lot. I don't think Solana is going to hit $1 trillion. It totally could, but with a $5 trillion spread between everything, I doubt it. So, it's much closer to its 1618 than you would say, something like Theta. Now, if you get the Solana ETF, sure, it's going to bring it higher, but, the higher the market cap, the harder it is to push the price. So just understand that. So that's why I like Theta, because Theta is in a perfect position. It's not too aggressive to the top of the range where I can't really get a good entry because it's so expensive. But it's also in a good spot where it's actually decent for someone to buy, right? So I like them right here. So like Solana's way up here, there's no entry for me to get in. So Theta had a pretty strong wave one here, right? That actually took out some of the range. It had a nice pullback to the bull market support band, and it had this very strong third wave, and then a nice correction. And then I really like how the correction shaped up. I like the base forming on the bull market support band. Also looks Wyckoff, and if you look at where we're at now, we're right at the tail end of that bull market support band. So I would even say now is a good spot to start dollar cost averaging. Remember, it could go down, since it was one of the big ones, it could go down and back test $1.30, $1.50 right in here, which would be a 1-2-1-2. So you kind of have to play it smart about that, right? Because on one hand, like let's say someone had $500, do you buy it all now thinking it's going to go higher? You could play like that. Or do you wait until it comes down here? The problem is you don't know if it's going to do that, right? If Bitcoin keeps pulling up, you may have missed your opportunity. But on the other hand, if you buy and then it goes down, you would have said, oh man, I wish I would have waited. But that's why you don't know. That's why you dollar cost average. And that's probably why you're watching YouTube to figure that out, that answer. And I can tell you, nobody can give you the answer like that, but I can do my best to give you what is more probable. And in my opinion, what's more probable, again, Bitcoin is in a very sort of do or die inflection point. I really would want to wait until that sort of works itself out to make that final judgment. But if I had to lean one way, I would say we're going up from here. Maybe not today or tomorrow or even this week, but I think overall, these lows here at $1.90, $1.89, up to $2, I believe should hold. Considering the bull market support band, considering you had a 55% drop, considering Bitcoin's nearly breaking out. So the probabilities are in Theta's favor. So yeah, okay. Now that's enough for Theta. So let's gravitate towards XRP for a little bit. And even if you hold Theta, you're still, I would encourage, checking it out because it might, give some help here. But the price of XRP is back in this descending triangle. And the reason why I don't have it drawn like this is because it doesn't touch this first point. You always want, here's your first point, here's your second point. The trend should always hit the second point. So if I hit the second point, it's, even if I just go to wick, it's somewhere about there. Right? Now, typically descending triangles break to the downside. However, if they are coming up from an up move, right, we're going up into a descending triangle, it's more likely, not more likely, but the chances are better that it breaks out. If you're coming from a downtrend into a descending triangle, it's definitely more likely to break down. But I don't really, that's the shape of it, is a descending triangle, but the actual count is either 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, with a complex B, and this is like a fractal where Bitcoin is at, right? I mean, think about it. So I want you to look at this very carefully. Look at this. This could be where Bitcoin is at now. So we have A, we have a complex B, right? So just remember that. A, complex B. Look at this shape. Now look at this. So remember Bitcoin, right? Remember how we talked about the triangle. So what if this is the same thing that's happening here? Look at this. So we remember that, right? We have an A and we have a complex B that took out the top. So maybe Bitcoin on the 2-hour chart is a small fractal, or I should say XRP is on the larger time frame is a fractal of what Bitcoin is doing now. So we have an A, we have a complex B, or I should say just a B wave, right? That took out the top. So now let's go back to XRP. So here we go. So the same kind of thing. We have an A, we have a complex B, right? So then what did XRP do? It dropped all the way down, right? So if that's the case, then what do you think Bitcoin might do? Well, she can easily drop all the way down. And that would be our idea number 2, right? Remember what we talked about. So we come down for 2, right? So this whole thing would be A, B, and then C, right? We take out the liquidity and then we take it higher, right? Something like that. So that's kind of what I would think here if that fractal is going to play out. Now, if it is a triangle, then this should be wave 1, we pull back for wave 2, and we continue higher. So that's kind of where we're at. I'm not sure how it's going to play, either idea number 1 or idea number 2. So real quick again, this is A, B, C, D, E. This is wave 1, 2, and now we're continuing higher. Or this is A, we come up for B, we take out the low for C, A, B, C, and then we go. So we're just going to have to wait and watch and see how it plays out here. The problem is, if we come all the way down here, I would imagine the altcoins would get pretty beat up, like pretty beaten up. So I have to think, okay, well, what would happen to XRP if Bitcoin decided to do that? Well, I would imagine we would take out this trend line because we're already playing pretty dangerously close to it, unless the altcoin dominance, if Bitcoin drops hard and the altcoin dominance goes higher, then the altcoins wouldn't take as big of a hit on that downside move. And that would kind of make sense because, the altcoins are more on the lower range and Bitcoins are more on the upper range. So But again, if we did come down, I would imagine this would come and finish up here like this before going higher. So then it would be an A, a B, and then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 for wave C. So you'd have A, B, C, and then go. Something like that. And yeah, it would probably take the trend, right? But a lot of times things do take the trend lines for liquidity purposes, because retail's looking at the trend line saying, okay, if it breaks, I'm going to go short. It breaks, everybody goes short, and then bam, it takes you out. That's why people say trading is easy. They're wrong. It's hard because you have to wait and pay attention. Anybody saying it's easy is lying. It's not easy. It's challenging. You might have all your things lined up and the probabilities look good, but sometimes the pattern or the count will fail. Not to say this one will, but you kind of have to weigh your options based off the ideas we have. So let's say Bitcoin was in a triangle, we're continuing to move up. Then what? Well, then I would imagine XRP would continue breaking out here, at least getting back to these retracement levels up here before a little pullback, maybe go a little sideways, and then eventually just work and break out of here, because I still like this as some type of descending triangle in here, right? So maybe we coil in here at the apex and we have a nice breakout. That's what I'm really hoping here for XRP. If not, and let's say Bitcoin decides to come back and revisit the bull market support band, or even worse, finish out that WXYXZ, or that back test around that 50K area, then I can see this being 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we come down for 5. And anything below this wick would be a mega steal. It would be a beautiful buying opportunity below 40 cents. Even, because this wick is pretty big here. The bottom is 50 or 40 and the top is about 47. So there's a big gap here in this wick. So sometimes the price will like to come down and fill these gaps. It'll make you think we're going to break the low, but it actually just comes 50% of the wick. And then it goes higher, right? So then if you exclude the wick, you actually still have 5 waves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You just exclude the wick, right? Because the bodies of the candle took out the bodies of these candles, but it didn't take out the wick. That's why wicks are kind of hard. Look at this. This is a good example. I didn't even realize that right there. Look at this. We had a wick here, right? And then you came down about 50% right there, and then you worked your way back up. That was actually a good example, and it just was staring me in the face. So if Bitcoin decides to come down for that B wave, then yeah, I could see that happening. But all in all, guys, I'm very, very bullish. I just feel like we need a couple more weeks, maybe even a couple months, to really hash out the final endings of this wave here. But I do think a big bull run is coming. But all of that can change if a stock market just collapses and we have a economic crisis. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But all in all, it looks very bullish. Now, I just want to point out on QNT, we have a 9 buy, so that's really, really interesting here. The last time we had a 9 buy, we went up pretty substantially on the weekly chart, I might add, right? So then when I zoom in, to the daily chart, we also have a 9 here. And then when I zoom into the 4-hour chart, we have a nice base forming here. So we have this sort of move, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're kind of coiling in here. We have a base being formed. So it looks pretty bullish here, at least for a test of the bull market support band. Now, it could go down for one more low, but I'm not sure. I mean, I would imagine we're at a pretty relatively low risk opportunity for QNT. Guys, hit that like button, please. I'd really appreciate it. If you have any requests, drop them below. I'll take a look at them, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Cheers.